Breaking news, our merch just got a full revamp with all new designs and items. So if you want a little more random in your life, head over to clubrandom.com and check out the store. We've got premium hoodies, including our brand new quad hoodies with the updated logo, super soft t-shirts, super soft for men and women, and even tie-dye shirts. All merch is available exclusively at clubrandom.com. While you're there, catch up on recent episodes and grab some swag and bring a little random home. Once again, that's clubrandom.com. Here's the real problem. Dinner isn't about cooking. It's about the mental exhaustion of deciding what to eat when your brain is already closed for business. Well, HelloFresh removes that part entirely. What you really get back is time, energy, the ability to sit down like a civilized person. What could be better than that? Go to hellofresh.com/random10fm. Get 10 free meals plus a free zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website. So if you've got a passion project, a business idea, or you just want to look more legitimate online, go to squarespace.com/clubrandom for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code clubrandom to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace, build something real. Certainly they are not beefing.
I don't think we would know.
We would, if they were beefing, right above us.
Club Random.
He's the greatest filmmaker of all time.
He is, absolutely. I always say about him, he's known as the greatest filmmaker, and he's still underrated.
Club Random.
Dan?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, man.
Dan, your spaceship is double parked out there.
Thanks for having me.
We're gonna have to move that.
I got dropped off.
You don't travel in a spaceship, no. Dan? Are there people who think that, do you get hate for being the apostle here of the UFOs? No hate mail on that?
Not really.
That's amazing, because this country is so divided that I would think anything like, because certainly, you know, it's in your documentary, and I talked about it on my show with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who concurs with some of the people in the Defense Department who think aliens, they're demons. We're talking about angels and demons. Fallen angels is what Marjorie Taylor said. You say aliens. Other people, to me, this could be the dividing line to start like a lot of online fighting, no?
You know, like everybody's, allowed to have their own opinion. The one thing I have gotten some like angry DMs on these social media sites where people are like, I want more evidence. I want to see this. I want to see that. And I'm like, I do too. We all want more. But, to me.
Angry that you're not giving enough evidence, or angry that you're just saying this and it's really something like demons or angels?
There's a lot of people who just wish there was more evidence for them to see. But I think disclosure of this stuff is a process.
Well, I cut this out of the paper the other day just because I wanted to read it. It was just yesterday. The British military actively just tried to obtain extraterrestrial technology in the 90s. This just came out. They just released this. After thousands of reported sightings over Belgium between November 1989 and April 1990. Large, silent, low-flying black triangles demonstrating propulsion capabilities far beyond any known flight technology. And the British thought they needed to find out what it is so they could reverse engineer it. They, said, we got to have this.
Yeah, I saw that too. There's a lot of activity, historical activity in the UK. There's one of the interviews I did that I had to just cut for time in the film. Interviewed former base commander of Rendlesham, of a base that was in Rendlesham Forest in the UK.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that. Yeah.
And
that's in Suffolk, England.
Yeah. So it was a joint base between UK and US, and they were on Christmas Eve. Can't remember which year. It was in the 80s. There was a big UAP event just outside the base. And
UAP is the old UFO, huh?
Yeah,
That really changed things a lot when they made that change, huh?
yeah, I think it helps. I mean, I really do.
Really?
Yeah. So
Why?
one of the guys I interviewed,
Unidentified flying object, unidentified aerial phenomenon?
it stands for unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
It's a UFO, and we got used to UFO, and it's the same thing, and you're just confusing people.
Well, here's
It's
the two
not
reasons.
helpful. It's unhelpful.
There's two valid reasons. So one of the guys I interviewed, Jay Stratton, very senior intelligence official, he found that when he would bring up UFOs in certain rooms, it led to this giggle factor, and there's a stigma around that word. So UAP allows it to be looked at differently. Also, a lot of the activity is happening in our oceans, and these things aren't flying. Like UFO
Okay.
stands for flying.
All right, fine.
So there you go.
Take it. But to me, it seems like a minor. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Okay, so we'll get used to the new one, but it's probably so inconsequential compared to what, to me, seems like the issue. And you were on Real Time recently.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. No, I mean, your movie, Age of Disclosure, about this is groundbreaking, and I'm on your page. Basically. I mean, look, do we know anything? No. I just feel like it gets harder and harder as the evidence accumulates. And, what your movie did so well was it arrayed this lineup of very credible people, including the Secretary of State, senators, military people. Not the, when I was first doing comedy, it was all, these
wackos,
jokes about, a little green man came down and they ate my wife and she liked that. That was all it, probing my asshole. And now it's not that. It's not the farmer in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's very credible people. So
that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make the most credible doc ever made on the topic.
Yeah.
It's something that wasn't sensational. I always wish this film existed. Over the years, I've been fascinated with this topic. I've watched every doc on it. I've watched every movie or series about it. And I always wish someone would take the time to make a documentary that only interviewed people who have direct knowledge of this as a result of working for the U.S. government, and to just have them share what they lawfully can. Don't sensationalize it. Don't just throw some random guy in there because it's cool casting.
Right.
Just set the bar at like real credible people who actually have direct knowledge of this.
Well, I mean, part of the reason why this documentary couldn't have been done 10 years ago is because there weren't nearly as many credible people. The things we've seen in the last decade, and the testimony from people like in the Navy who've seen these phenomenon, I don't remember that happening before 10 years ago. It looks to me like the aliens kind of want us to know that they're here. It doesn't look like they're hiding it much anymore. They may be saying, Jesus Christ, these people are taking a long time to come around to what is fairly obvious, And as I said to you on Real Time, I'm not that upset about it because obviously they have the capability to do great harm. And they're not. They seem to be just monitoring. That could change.
Yeah. No, yeah. As people in the film talk about, circumstances change. Like we've evolved technologically.
Not with these lighters.
Here's another one.
I'm either the unluckiest person in the world who every time I try to get a simple Zippo lighter, I'm not trying to embarrass the Zippo company, but maybe there's like a really good version of this. I don't know. I do what I'm supposed to do. I put the thing in, and it works once at home, and then I do it here, and it doesn't work.
Gotta go old school
the
Vic.
alien. If the aliens come, I would like to make this their first mission to get this fucking lighter
Improve the
working.
quality of lighters.
They're so cool looking, and I like them. They just don't work for me.
Hilarious.
Maybe it's me. But I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, a lot of people talk about how if more intelligent life is here and they haven't destroyed us, there hasn't been a War of the Worlds type moment that means that they're completely benign and there's nothing to worry about. And, that's a nice positive thought for sure. And that'd be amazing if that's true. But I think a lot of the intelligence officials in my film went out of their way to say it's, good to prepare for all scenarios. And the reality of it is, like, we've evolved technologically at a really rapid pace over the last 80 years, but our morals haven't, right?
Right.
We're still
No,
invading sovereign nations. We're still threatening nuclear war.
Right.
We're a violent species.
They may be in the process of deciding.
And so, the point a lot of the people in my film make is that we're kind of like barreling towards a crossroads where we're reaching the point of either already being able to do what they do, or soon being able to do what they do. And at that point, they would have to contend with us, and we're a violent species. And so it kind of puts a lot in perspective. And I think one of the takeaways a lot of people told me they had from the film is, man, humanity's really got to get their shit together and, kind of come together on this, because we're all in this situation together, and that's a tough task.
That's not going to
probably not going to happen, right?
Totally not going to happen.
So then it's like, okay, well then we just got to be prepared for all scenarios.
The good news is, and again, I think I mentioned this to you. It reminds me of the movies where the bad guy or somebody like Salazzo says, "Come on, if I wanted you to be dead, you'd be dead already." That's, I feel like, where we are with the aliens right now.
Possibly.
That doesn't mean tomorrow it won't change. And I do think one compelling piece of evidence about the whole shebang is that they did seem to appear right after the nuclear age began. It seems like that triggered...
More proactive, more actively.
You first see it, of course, the bomb is 1945. 1947 really is when we first, Roswell and stuff like that. To me, that's quite a coincidence. Or it's like, oh, they're watching us.
It seems like that's when they started paying attention.
Let's pay attention. They've reached the nuclear threshold. Remember when we were nuclear? Little green fellow people here on the planet. We were crazy, and we did crazy things, and we had these bombs, and it was polluting, and it was just terrible. But let's keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the people in my film all feel... Everyone I discussed a specific point with felt strongly that once you crack the atom, it puts you on this trajectory towards doing what they do. And it's only a matter of time at that point. And so that's when they started monitoring us. The thing that the people I interviewed are more concerned about than possible intentions of non-human intelligent life is what would happen if an adversary cracked this technology before we did and used it for bad. Because this technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we live and change things for the better. It could be the solution to the energy crisis. It could lead to interstellar travel. A lot of technological breakthroughs could come off the back of it that could be great for us, but it could also be used as the most terrifying weapon of mass destruction. You could instantaneously deliver a nuclear weapon to the other side of the planet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the tipping point is fusion. I mean, we've learned how to split the atom. That's nuclear. But that's not really where the gold is. The gold is in fusion, which they're getting closer. Fusion is the opposite. We're putting them together at temperatures that are hotter than the sun. So the challenge is not just doing that. They seem to be able to do that, but then how do you channel that? Like, how do you not, whatever's holding this energy, how do you not melt that thing? So plainly, the aliens have this.
Yeah.
I mean, they have something that we don't have.
An energy source that we haven't realized.
Yes, that allows them, I mean, all the witnesses pretty much say some variation of, the thing can hover for 3 hours and then just move at speeds we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Or go, as you say, in the ocean without losing any speed. There seems to be no element of friction there.
Yeah.
They seem to be moving in a way that
just defies physics as we know it.
As we know it.
That's the simplest way to say it, yeah.
So I can't help but think that is tied to fusion and maybe something beyond fusion. But that's our next moment in human history, is fusion. And we're knocking on the doorstep, but we're still a very long way away.
There's also a lot of forces working against technology like that coming to the forefront. Look how we see it in the news this week, how significant oil is to the world, right?
Oh, yeah.
The introduction of a new energy source would basically overnight destroy an entire marketplace that has driven
Well,
the world for years.
I'll say this for the Trump's move into Venezuela. I mean, I don't totally hate it. Some of it I do hate. But to the aliens who are worried that we are getting too advanced, I'm sure that was very reassuring. Not this guy. This guy's still thinking about oil and still thinking about, stuff like whatever he's thinking about. It's not. What do you think? What do you think Donald Trump knows about?
So I think he's become very aware of the situation in the last few months. And I think he, behind the scenes, is pursuing the truth about the things he is in the dark on. I hope that he steps up this year and tells the world definitively that we're not alone in the universe, because he knows those base facts and he could share that with the world. And I think it would be the greatest moment a leader could possibly have. I mean, there's no bigger moment in the history of humanity.
I don't think any of us have ever known him to ever not share. Like when he I saw yesterday, he put out these, no, he didn't do it yesterday, but they were talking about it yesterday on CNN, these text messages that the head of NATO, who used to be I think the president of Denmark, had sent him. And they were very complimentary. I mean, it's not a big secret that a great way to ingratiate yourself with our president is to be complimentary. And they were meant to be private. But of course, Trump puts them on Truth Social because, here's a guy, an important guy saying nice things about me. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, Kanye does the same thing. Don't expect, a lot of the younger generation don't expect anything to ever be private. They just don't have that same feeling. So just don't put it out there. But again, I don't remember President Trump ever really holding anything back. So I feel like
he's proactively gathering information right now.
That could be true.
Yeah.
That absolutely could be true. I mean, he could be waiting for the right moment, like a week.
This week's not the right
moment.
A week
before the next election. The aliens are here, and if I'm not here to stop it, I can see that.
Look, I think it literally, in all seriousness, it would be the biggest moment a leader could ever have in human history. It's bigger than any huge presidential speech. Like think about those great moments leaders have had in our history, like from Gettysburg Address to Kennedy's space race speech, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech.
Yeah.
Whatever you put on the list, this would be bigger than that. And it's also arguably the most bipartisan moment you could possibly have. This issue is the most bipartisan issue in politics right now. The leaders from both parties are aligned on wanting more disclosure and more aligned on that than anything else.
Yeah, when I think about the famous New York Times headline, "When we walked on the moon," I don't think they've ever had a bigger type face than "Men walk on moon." Giant letters.
Picture "We are not alone."
How big a type do you need for this headline? If there was definitive proof, like little green man arrives, says, "Take us to your leader." They don't have type.
I think it's just simply we are not alone. And a U.S. president stepping to the microphone and making that clear for the entire human population, it just would have so many huge consequences.
And it's your belief, I think, and many others, that the reason this really hasn't happened is because it would scare people.
No.
No?
I think there's a lot of reasons. Like, we go into a lot of reasons in the film, but those reasons have sort of changed over time. I think originally it was simply, if you put yourself in the shoes of military and intelligence officials in the 40s and you realize this is real, you got to find out a lot of answers to your own questions before you make it known, right? And then I think they found out that this was happening in adversarial nations too. And then it became like a Cold War dynamic of, we got to keep this secret because we don't want our enemies to know what we know and don't know. And one of the ways they kept it secret is they created the stigma around this topic. That's revealed in my film. One of the senior CIA officials in my film says that elements of the intelligence community, including the CIA, created the stigma around this early on, late 40s, early 50s, to get people thinking it's crazy if you look into this. It's a kind of a genius way to get people to avoid, asking questions, right, and looking into it. And then that gets into the culture and it gets compounded over the years. Then the stigma gets created. Then the stigma became a reason for people not to want to speak up about it, because no one wanted their reputation ruined.
But would there not be panic?
I think at one point people early on, I think in the 40s and 50s, there was a general feeling amongst military and intelligence people that knew about this that we need to learn a lot more about this before we tell the world there's a situation that we don't know anything about and we can't protect you from and cause panic, right? But I think it's naive to think that in 2026 people are going to be jumping out of buildings if they find out of that we're not alone in the universe.
Not jumping out of buildings, but I can't imagine a lot of rednecks wouldn't be like, we got to kill these motherfuckers now while we got them in our sights, while we got the we got the muscle, we got the armaments, we got everything we need. We got to kill these people. I can't believe there wouldn't be that faction in America.
Look, there'll be
all
a lot
over the
of,
world.
There'll be a lot of mixed responses, but ultimately, the reality of it is, one of the big learnings from making this film is that we are in a race with adversarial nations, most notably China, to crack this technology. And we have a better chance of winning that
technology?
race. UAP technology, the technology at play. So the film reveals that...
You mean reverse engineering their craft?
Yeah, so the film reveals that...
Do we have their craft?
Yeah, so a number of the intelligence officials in the film reveal that there's a deeply hidden crash retrieval program in the U.S. There's also
some
one
of
in
them have
Russia and China.
crashed.
Some of them have crashed.
So they're not perfect.
Yeah, and we've retrieved some of that technology.
They're aliens. They're not fucking gods, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the fact.
Yeah, I mean, they're dealing with
Because
technology.
I've heard people say, well, if they're so advanced, how come they keep crashing their vehicles? Well, I don't think they keep crashing their vehicles. I think,
all technology has some kind of, either flaw or vulnerability, right? And so one of the things that people in my film talk about is in the early days of our atomic weapons program, we realized an unintended consequence of testing was it could cause some of these UAP that we didn't know were there to crash. So there's been all these learnings over time of what could cause these things to crash.
I'm sure there is one reason why they have been monitoring us for so long is because they don't know about this planet and they're finding out, they're gathering information.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if you...
Or they've been here long before us.
Or they have been here long before us. You know what nobody warns you about adult life? Dinner. Dinner. It shows up every night, like a bill you forgot to pay. 5 o'clock hits, you're tired, you're annoyed, and suddenly you're supposed to invent a meal like it's a fun hobby. Well, that's where HelloFresh comes in. Here's the real problem. Dinner isn't about cooking. It's about the mental exhaustion of deciding what to eat when your brain is already closed for business. Well, HelloFresh removes that part entirely. Ingredients are pre-portioned, recipes are clear, and the whole thing takes about 30 minutes. No improvising, no spiraling. You get over 100 recipes every week, so you pick what sounds good, not what you can tolerate making. Portions are generous, meaning you're not hunting for snacks an hour later. I think the best part is the quality. Sustainably sourced seafood, antibiotic-free chicken, produce that tastes like food. Yeah, more seafood options, tons of high-protein meals, even GLP-1 friendly choices. What you really get back is time, energy, the ability to sit down like a civilized person. What could be better than that? Go to HelloFresh.com/random10FM. Get 10 free meals plus a free zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website, which apparently we still need to do in 2026 because, God forbid, someone just believe you exist without seeing it on the internet. Look, you don't need a tech team. You don't need to learn coding. And you won't have to hire some kid in a hoodie who charges you $10,000 to move a button 3 pixels to the left. Thanks to their cutting-edge templates and Blueprint AI, which asks a few smart questions and builds a site that actually fits what you're doing. If you're offering services, consulting, events, anything where people owe you money, Squarespace lets you book appointments, send invoices, and get paid in one place. No chaos, no chasing people down, and the built-in SEO tools help people actually find you, which is kind of the point. If you don't have a website by now, what are you doing? I have a site, for Christ's sakes. My other show has a site. This podcast has a site, and I'm sure the neighborhood dog down the street even has a website, or at least an Insta account. So if you've got a passion project, a business idea, or you just want to look more legitimate online, go to squarespace.com/clubrandom for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code CLUBRANDOM to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Squarespace, build something real. If it's the reverse, if they're just discovering us and we're alarmed because they got the little beep on their phone that said, no, they went nuclear, okay, we're gonna get down there and see what's going on. I mean, like in War of the Worlds, which is what I go by, that's my Bible. No, I'm kidding. Because when has Scientology ever led us astray scientifically? But, you know, that is sort of based, that is the Scientology. I mean, I could see why Tom Cruise was attracted to do that movie, other than the fact that it's an awesome movie and Spielberg directed it. But it is about because I think in Scientology they believe that stuff was buried underground and then came up, and that's what happens in War of the Worlds. But as you remember in War of the Worlds, there's no real ending to it. The aliens are totally kicking our ass, and then they just die. And Morgan Freeman does the voiceover, and everyone is like, okay. But
that's also what happens at the end of Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones' Crystal Skull. They find the UFO that was buried underneath the pyramid. Rises up at the end of the movie.
And dies?
No, it just rises. It comes, rises up.
Because at War of the Worlds, they just die because they got a virus.
Yeah.
So it's really COVID. If they had just worn the masks, I'm always saying to everybody, let's go back to wearing masks. I'm kidding, of course.
But like going back to the thing that concerned everyone I interviewed was that if we as a nation don't take this more seriously and make it a real national priority, then we could wake up one day and find out that China beat us in this race and the consequences could be huge.
So what does that mean? China would be allied with the aliens?
So a number of the officials in the film reveal that our country and Russia and China all have these hidden programs that are retrieving crashed UAP and trying to reverse engineer them. And it's a technology race. They refer to it as the Manhattan Project on steroids. And so the idea is, you know, here we have this stigma that originally was created to keep people from looking into this, and now it's kind of backfiring, and that we're in a technology race now, and the majority of scientists in our country don't even know this is real. They don't know it's a valid area of inquiry.
Well, that you get to something that I found so fascinating in the movie, which is the idea that a lot of what we know about all of this phenomenon is compartmentalized.
Yeah.
Like the CIA knows this, and the Energy Department knows this, and the Defense Department knows this, and they don't necessarily share the information. Yeah. And we gotta, I mean, to me, this is a little like the Epstein files, except not underage girls, little green men. Okay. Like, we want the files out. We want you to collate all the files, because we saw with the Epstein thing, it was a shit show. It came out drip by drab. Some of it was real. Then suddenly we got 1 million more. And, you know,
I mean, honestly,
I feel like that's what's going on with this, except, again, not underage girls, little green men. And if we could just get all these agencies to share, because you are all on the same team, guys. We're all in the American government. Share, and then because that has to happen, I think, before they release it to the people.
Yeah, but honestly, the better analogy is the 9/11 situation. The intelligence community wasn't sharing information in the most effective way, and there was intelligence gaps. And then this horrible intelligence failure happened, and this attack happened, and we all dealt with the consequences. And then what happened after that? Everyone said, "Oh, this has to be course corrected." So we formed the Director of National Intelligence position as an answer to that, right? and their sole job is to coordinate the intelligence community so information is
Well,
actually shared, right?
All we did was create a giant, new, ridiculously large, unobservable in many ways bureaucracy.
But the point is, history shows bad things happen when our intelligence community doesn't share information. And
I
so,
know, but
with this situation,
I remember my joke at the time that we created the Department of Homeland Security was, gosh, if we only had some sort of central intelligence agency. You see my point? We already had it.
but their job,
they need to get rid
the
of
CIA's job was never to coordinate all of the various intelligence community elements. That was never their stated purpose. Whereas the Director of National Intelligence, that's their purpose.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to give them credit. I mean, something worked. Now, maybe it was just that the jihadists decided to take a break. I mean, they have been at it for over 1,000 years, so like they played the long game. Maybe it was like, okay, we visit a painful chastisement on the infidel. Let's take a couple of decades off. That could be, I don't think that's it.
No, I think we're putting resources towards this, and it's working.
Yes.
And so if we put resources towards the UAP issue,
Right.
and we make the base facts known,
Right.
a lot of great change will come out of that, and the U.S. will lead in that technology race.
Well, I find it very interesting that your movie is called The Age of Disclosure. And Spielberg has a movie coming out called
Disclosure Day.
What is the key word here that we seem to be tracking? It would be disclosure. I mean, it seems like this is the issue now that for a lot of people, we move past the question, is it happening?
Yeah.
It's a little like climate change. There was a time when it was like, is it happening? Is it man-made? And then, of course, there are stragglers who don't believe it is, but they're not credible people.
You know, what's interesting, what was a turning point in that? Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, a documentary, right?
It was,
takes...
yeah, I mean, certainly that came out, I think 2002 or something. I feel like by the 90s, people were on the page of, it's happening, and it is man-made. What to do about it, that's a debate we absolutely can and should be having. But there are still stragglers, who don't believe in that, as there will always be with this. There will always be stragglers. But basically, you pass these tipping points where it's like evolution. When 1859, Darwin put that out. It wasn't like in 1860, everybody was like, oh, evolution, we all believe in that.
Yeah.
It took a while before it's tested, people challenge it, and then it's like, okay, this is the reality. Let's go on to the next question. I feel like we should be on to the question of, again, I don't think it's coincidence that this word comes up in both these films, disclosure. And I feel like when they look back, now the Spielberg movie comes out in June. I feel like, you're going to be the John the Baptist to this Jesus Christ of a movie because it is Spielberg. It's something zillions of people are going to see. It's about the same subject, but it's for the masses. Not that your movie didn't do great, but it's like this is now...
Number one best-selling documentary ever on Prime Video.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, people are interested and people get it. And I feel like from the history major's point of view, the analogy is this. The Roman Empire was persecuting Christians, feeding them to the lions, that old shit, in the 3rd century. 30 years later, they were Christians. They went from feeding them to the lions to, okay, now we are that.
Yeah.
One emperor declared it, and then we all just fell in line. Maybe it took a few years, I'm sure, but I feel like that's where we are with this. Like, it was a eye roll for a long time. Oh, aliens, UFOs, yeah, sure. And maybe that's still going to be the case. We don't know. Nobody knows. But I feel like it's passing that tipping point where if you're the person who really thinks we're alone in the universe, you're kind of on the side of...
Not flat earthers and, yeah.
Yeah, flat earthers, right. You're exactly. You're kind of, or global warming isn't, Republicans were still saying that it wasn't real and it wasn't man-made very recently. I mean, certainly in the last 20 years. They were trotting out silly. There was one Newsweek story in the 70s about how the planet was cooling. Look, the planet's cooling, they used to say, and it's like, okay, you know what? You can always convince a certain number of people.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is where it's going to go, and I feel like the big thing is going to be the Spielberg movie.
Everyone I interviewed was really clear with me that it's not a question as to whether this is real. We're way past that. Every single person I interviewed made that very clear. Their educated opinion was we are way, way past that. Now the question is, where are they from? What's their intention?
Right.
And can we, as a nation, crack this technology before an adversary does? And they all took that extremely seriously. And everyone I interviewed thought that getting rid of the stigma in our country is a huge, huge hurdle to winning that technology race. We have to get rid of the stigma so that academia and the scientific community can take this seriously and know it's a valid area of inquiry and help us win this technology race. And they all thought that this documentary is going to play a major role in opening the public's eyes. And I heard that over and over from everybody from Rubio on down. Right. And they were all very, very serious about it. I do think it's power movies, though, as you're talking about Steven's movie. Movies have a unique power to open people's eyes to thoughts. I
absolutely do.
I'm into this topic because my childhood was the 80s and early 90s, and my favorite movie since I was a little kid was Close Encounters. I grew up on Close Encounters, E.T., X-Files was on television when I was in school, and Close Encounters made a huge impact on me. It made me curious about these big questions, made me curious about this topic. It presented it in a very grounded way. It's a very ahead of its time movie.
Well, I have always been a proponent of the idea that everything the movies depict then comes to life, which is why the fact that there are so many movies about post-apocalyptic world, after the war. After the war came, and now it's a hellscape. It's the Baron, and it's just Denzel and somebody else walking across a desert. It's just terrible. Because I feel like I've just seen it too many times. Well, whatever they're predicting is going to come true. And I remember seeing Minority Report, a great Spielberg movie, and they had screens. They were just touching and moving things on the screen, which we all do 1 billion times a day now. Yeah. But then it was like, wow. Or even flip phones in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Now he's always forward thinking and covering things that will come to be. Another great film from years ago that was ahead of its time was Abyss, with all the activity under the ocean.
That's James Cameron in the ocean.
Yeah.
He loves the ocean.
Yeah.
It was not a good movie.
Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I did.
As movie making, I don't remember it that well. I remember being bored to tears in the theater, and I'm a big Cameron fan. I love Titanic.
Rewatch it. It's a good one.
Really?
And yeah, and Close Encounters. I watch every few months.
Is that about space people in the ocean?
The Abyss is about non-human intelligent life under the ocean. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And what's the spoiler alert? What's the end?
Just the takeaway is that there is other life here, and it's in the ocean. And a number of the people in my film go on the record about the UAP activity in our oceans. Even from senior members of Congress to intelligence officials, they talk about technology that's not from here, that's otherworldly, that has been seen coming in out of the ocean and into the ocean. And then in conversations I've had outside of the film, people have told me about activity that's been tracked by our submarines that's just absolutely bonkers, like massive crafts moving at crazy speeds under the water, going past our submarines. So there's a real situation.
Yeah, if you were an alien and you wanted to hide here on the Earth itself,
you do it in our ocean, yeah.
You do it because the ocean is very unexplored.
It's in my film, Admiral Tim Gallaudet says that we have studied the surface of the moon in more detail than we have the bottoms of our oceans. And our oceans are like 75% of our planet is ocean, right?
Well, that's if you believe we went to the moon.
Yeah. Okay. But I really do think that going back to the power of movies, I wouldn't have made this movie or been interested in this topic had I not, watched Close Encounters countless times and had my curiosity piqued. And I think that, my hope is there's people out there who start looking into this topic because they watch this documentary or because they watch Steven's movie in June, and they start thinking about it differently, taking it seriously.
So let's go through the movies and what they depicted and see if that's how it's really going to happen. Close Encounters, we want to communicate with the aliens, and we do it through, as I recall, a synthesizer. You know, he's
Frequencies.
he's playing this tune, and then they play the tune back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, yeah.
So maybe it's that. Then there was a movie called Arrival.
Yeah, it's a great movie too.
That is a great movie?
Yeah, I think it's great.
don't remember loving that one either.
That's really good. Yeah.
I feel like
you got to do a binge.
I feel like your interest in this topic.
You got to do a new
binge. See, I'm just looking as a
now that you've watched this doc, you got to do a binge. Yeah.
Okay, but in that one, I remember there was just a lot of the aliens writing in this big curlicue language on a screen, and it was like, it didn't look like anything we've ever seen, but it was some sort of writing.
Some sort of contact event, some sort of communication, yeah.
So how do you think it'll happen? How will we, I mean, shouldn't they know with all their advanced knowledge? Can't they just have a English to alien thing in their phone?
I mean, you know, some of the people in my film talk about how there have been contact events. Some of the intelligence officials in my film talk about learning of an event that happened where UAP landed on a military base and non-human beings interacted with CIA and Air Force officials.
When you say interacted, you mean dating? No, but what do you mean by interacting? You meant they said they
interacted, they communicated somehow. That's what, you know.
Well, what's the somehow?
The intelligence officials
they must, if they're testifying about this, what's the somehow?
That was all it was said. And the intelligence official in the film talks about a conversation he had with President Bush I, Sr., about this. And yeah, it's a fascinating part of the film. Halleman Air Force Base is the name.
I loved it that Bush II, his comment was, "I ain't telling."
Yeah, that's one of the.
That says a lot.
That was one of the.
I ain't telling.
But that was one of the coolest.
But Texas, if they try to mess with Texas, we're the point of the spear.
What he talks about in that section of the film, I think is fascinating. A bunch of the people I interviewed revealed that during Bush II's administration, shortly after 9/11, he was contemplating going public with the base facts that he had learned, that we're not alone in the universe.
Is that right?
And they held a multi-day, I think it was 2 or 3 day think tank where they invited a couple dozen people to come and evaluate what the pros and cons would be. And they basically they were tasked with debating and then applying a number to the impact. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being a bad impact, too much impact, 1 being minimal impact, to every like vertical of society, like religion, the economy, all these different areas they came up with. And a number of the people that were part of this think tank, they went into it excited about it and hopeful that it would bring about disclosure. And then they all came out on the other side deciding it would be a bad idea, that the time wasn't right for it. This was like right after 9/11. One of the people in that think tank is in my film.
that would
Dr. Hal Puthoff is the senior scientist for my film. He's worked on a lot of classified UAP programs.
Well, wasn't Bush 1.
No, it was 2. That was
Bush 2. Okay, right.
Yeah. 1 was the one who talked about the Halleman landing.
So this think tank was when Bush 2 was...
Yeah, and then they decided not to do it. And not to go public with it.
Well, that was prudent, to use the father's term. I mean, not after 9/11. You know, like let's deal with the jihadists before we deal with the aliens.
Yeah. It's also come out recently that Cheney was very involved in covering this up. He's no longer around, obviously.
What are you saying? Something nefarious that the aliens killed him because he knew too much?
No. I'm saying maybe it'll lead to change that he's no longer around.
I don't think it was them. He had a heart that plugged into the wall. Okay, this guy was not well when he died. But
no, I didn't mean like that. I mean he was involved in the decision to not have it go public.
My guess is he would have had Halliburton digging on the planet X-ray before they ever signed a deal, but not to speak ill of the dead. But so,
what do you think will happen now? You've seen this documentary. You see how the truth is starting to come out. What do you think will happen?
Well, again, I think the Spielberg movie it's Steven Spielberg. I think this will be sort of the ultimate moment in his amazing career. because as we were starting to say, movies do move people. People are a mass. They are the masses. They're called the masses for a reason. They're not called the bunch of intellectuals. They're the masses. I love them. I'm not putting them down, but I'm just saying masses need to be moved by mass entertainment.
Totally.
And that has, Hollywood, which I criticize a lot, and they deserve it a lot, but Hollywood, show business in general, is responsible for societal change probably more than any other part of society. I'm talking about...
Couldn't agree with you more.
And
he's the greatest filmmaker of all time.
He is, absolutely. I always say about him, he's known as the greatest filmmaker, and he's still underrated. But like if you go back to Gentleman's Agreement in 1947, which is about anti-Semitism, which is back in style, but back then they were against it, and they made movies like that. Racial issues, guess who's coming to dinner in 1967? Gay issues, AIDS, disabilities, nuclear energy, China syndrome. I mean, when Hollywood addresses an issue, it does change minds, and it's mostly been for the better. It's mostly been, liberal people saying, you know what, let's move up on this. Now, we entered a woke era where I think we went a few subway stops past where we should have gotten off on some things. But basically, Hollywood has been a force for good in opening people's eyes to a lot of social issues that they need to have their eyes open to. And now, I think it's, if we can step up and do our part, it will be this issue. It will be technology, which really is the social issue of the day.
Yeah.
I know it is categorized differently as technology, but I mean, when AI is poised to take, God knows how many jobs from people, not to mention transform life in every other way, it's a social issue. It, of course, is a social issue. And, look, I don't know what the aliens, I don't know what they think of AI, but I'm guessing that that's another trigger moment for them, just the way the nuclear was. I mean, we got nuclear in 45. We got AI, we got ChatGPT on the phone in 2023 or 2022, something like that. Okay, that to me is another really watershed moment.
Yeah.
And to them, I'm guessing it's like, okay, as you said at the beginning of the show, maybe we're threatening them a little bit, getting closer to parity with what they know. I think we're still a long way away. But of course, if you are prudent, as aliens, I think we all know are.
We're getting to a level where they'll have to contend with us.
They would have to contend with us.
They have to deal with us.
And
I do think that, and I hope that the combination of my documentary, The Disclosure, and Steven's film Disclosure Day, will reach the masses and impact the way the average person thinks about this topic.
What do you think the aliens are thinking as they're obviously watching this right now? Because they obviously have the technology. AI has the technology to monitor everything. So we have it. They certainly have it. So somebody is monitoring this right now, somebody or something. What do you think they're thinking about what we're saying? And before I let you answer, may I just say, I have always felt that aliens were among the finest people in my district. Mr. Chairman, I have to go to another meeting now, but I just want to say they are the salt of the earth. I'm doing the speech from Godfather too. But really, what do you think they're thinking? Like, bright guys, they get it about us.
I mean, obviously, it's pure speculation, but the interesting thing about that question is my takeaway from making this film is that we're not dealing with one non-human intelligent life. My takeaway is that there is a lot of intelligent life out there, and that they like humans, they probably all have different intentions and different points of view.
You just opened up a can of worms. I'm going to have another drink.
I think,
so you're right. Like we're talking about
it's a singular force. It's not.
So
it's like talking about the government as a singular thing when there's all these moving parts.
And is there evidence of that? Like different aircraft, different bodies?
Yes.
So,
one of the intelligence officials,
they must be aware of each other.
One of the really brave things someone said in my film, Hal Puthoff, who's considered a graybeard in the intelligence community, he's worked on a lot of classified UAP programs. He says on camera that the recoveries have included the crashed UAP that have been retrieved. Those crash sites have included the bodies of non-humans, and that the bodies were not all the same type, implying different species.
But could be different species who are working and living together.
Oh, sure, anything's possible. I mean, you're just.
I mean, certainly that's what's going on every starship I've ever seen on television. I mean, from Star Trek to the Orville, or any of those shows, there's always humans like Captain Kirk working with Vulcans like Mr. Spock,
Yeah.
and then there's the robot guy, and then there's the guy with looks human, but she's really a hot chick, and they just make her eyebrows look weird, and she's got pointy something, but she's still a hot chick. And, just there's everything. So that could be the case. Or it could be, because certainly they're working in concert. Certainly they are not beefing.
Well,
we would know that.
Well, we don't. I don't.
Come on.
I don't think we would know.
We would, if they were beefing right above us.
If non-human intelligent life that we're not fully aware of has conflict, I think it's naive to think we would understand that.
Really?
Yeah.
They wouldn't be trying to, in some way, defeat each other?
I mean, I think all possibilities are on the table.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that what is really happening is probably scenarios that we can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
Like we're looking at this all through
our lens.
Yeah, our lenses.
Right.
And what we understand. But I
Do you think
it's,
we'll catch up to that in your lifetime?
No.
No.
I think the base facts. I think my film brings out the base facts. I mean, to be honest, I think this film is disclosure. This is 34 really high-level military government intelligence officials breaking their silence on what they can lawfully disclose, telling you what they have become aware of, putting their reputation on the line to tell you the facts and let you know this is real. Here's the circumstances. Here's how we got here. Here's the lay of the land. Just putting it all on the table.
Right.
I think, for optics, that can be upped by a president stepping to the microphone and definitively saying it. But we already just got told the truth, Like, Rubio's one of the, Rubio's on camera in my film more than 33 other people, right? 32 other people. And now he's our Secretary of State and our National Security Advisor. He's not a lunatic who said crazy things and then got pushed aside. He said very important, serious things, and then he got put in the second most powerful position on the planet.
Well, to be fair, there are lunatics in our government. He is not one of them.
No, he's definitely not one of them.
He is one of the more adults.
He's a very thoughtful
I
and
agree.
serious person.
No, I'm very glad he's there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw him standing behind Trump the other day when Trump was saying, we're taking over Venezuela. And he's got, oh, Jesus. And then, of course, he comes back the next day. It reminds me a little like Bush and Tony Blair. Bush would say something stupid, and then Tony Blair would translate it into English, and we'd all be reassured. And then Rubio comes out the next day and says, we're not taking over Venezuela, okay? We're affecting the policy, and and that's okay. I'm glad there's adults, and I'm glad on this issue that he is one of them, because it is going to take balls.
It's one of the reasons why I do think that we might see the current president, not this week, not next week, but sometime in the near future, step to the microphone and make that statement, because he's got Rubio behind him, and Rubio's so aware of the truth, and he's become even more aware of the truth now that he's the National Security Advisor.
I'm absolutely sure Trump will do the right thing with this, as long as it involves making money from crypto. Okay? As long as the disclosure will also involve a tremendous payoff to the family, because he does remind me of a very corrupt sheriff who also does clean up the town. So places where it needed clean. Sometimes he does clean up the town.
The payoff will be huge. I mean, I think that is a move that would be, the response would be incredible. It would get so much support around the world for someone to find a leader, of the free world to step to the microphone and tell all of humanity the truth at once about the biggest cover-up in the history of the world. I mean, it'd be a pretty amazing moment. So I do hope it happens.
I mean, that's a very optimistic view, that people would take it with such aplomb. Maybe they will. Again, I feel like a lot of the reason why they haven't disclosed stuff is because they do fear panic. The government does that a lot.
Well, some people
look
think
at how they overreacted to COVID and lied about certain. Now, I'm not. Please don't start with the anti-vaxxer. I'm glad we got the vaccine and it saved millions of people's lives. I didn't want it. Okay, said my thing. But the government did suppress a lot because they were just afraid that people, if they heard the wrong information, which wasn't always wrong, they would do the wrong thing. They don't really trust the people. So whether they will trust them with an issue like this, I do think that's a bigger part of it than you seem to want to admit.
I think it's a huge
Oh,
hurdle.
you do?
Yeah. So look, like I said earlier, this technology, one of the takeaways from making this film became very clear to me that this technology that UAP have, the technology that make UAP work, that technology can be used to revolutionize the way we live, or it can destroy everything. You could literally, just to say it clearly, it can be used to instantaneously deliver a nuclear weapon to the other side of the planet. That is the most terrifying thing of all time, right? And so if you make that technology public and this new energy source public, people could weaponize it. So yes, they're 100%. Everyone I interviewed talked about how that is the humanitarian issue that we face, and it's held back sharing this for a very long time. And the only way forward to make it public and get those benefits would be to open up some of it, the base facts about it, and treat it like we treat nuclear technology, right? Like that became a humanitarian issue. Nuclear technology is known. We know we use it for good, and we also know that nuclear weapons exist. The average person is not told about like the capabilities of nuclear weapons, the vulnerabilities, how many we have, how many are being made, where they're stored.
No, we know that.
No, we don't. There's tons of information about nuclear weapons that are classified.
Okay, we know how many we have. It's in treaties. I could tell you how many we have.
I don't think that information's all out there, to be honest. But
But you have no. But you're not. You're just saying that. You don't have any. You don't have any reason to say that. I don't
well,
think.
this analogy has been made to me. Has been made to me by a number of intelligence officials and government officials. How that is the only actual reference point for how to handle this and make it a humanitarian issue. Use the technology openly for good and yes,
I'm
for
just
some
saying,
weapons.
when it comes to like knowing how many nuclear weapons we have, we do know, and we do know what they can do. We've been trying to reduce the number for decades and decades. Some people have made some progress. We used to actually have more. We still have way too many. We have enough to like destroy the planet a zillion times over.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the point? But there was a time when we in the Soviet Union each had something like 30,000 nuclear weapons. What would it take to just create a total nuclear winter? Probably less than 100.
Yeah,
So what was the point of 30,000?
Well,
So they got it down, but it's still, I don't know what it is now, 10,000 or something, but it's a crazy number still. But we do know, not everything is a giant secret. It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. I think there's a lot regarding nuclear weapons that is classified, but
Maybe,
regardless,
I'm sure it is.
The point they're making is
I don't want Joe Blow to know where they all are.
Yeah,
Okay,
the point they're making is like to get the benefit of this technology, you'd have to make a lot of this public. But there's a downside to that because bad actors could use that information to create weapons of mass destruction. And so that's this humanitarian issue that exists right now that is a real hurdle.
But we have had the ability to destroy the world since 1945. That's really the big changeover point in history. Not this with the aliens. This will be bigger in different ways. But yeah, could they wipe us out? Yes. But we've had the ability, as we never had before 1945, to wipe out ourselves. Before that, it was always, if that's a thing God will do or he won't do. God will come, Jesus is going to come down, and, they're going to kill everybody except the 144,000 Jews. They get grandfathered into heaven and whatever that bullshit is. But now we really do. Mankind has, what does he say and what does Oppenheimer say? He said, we have become the destroyer.
Of worlds, yeah.
The destroyer of worlds. That's a sea change. And again, I think that's what alarmed the aliens, because maybe I don't know what other planets are like or where they're from, or whether they're eyeing this as some sort of great place or some? I mean,
There's a lot of what ifs. I mean, like, here's a what if. What if this trajectory we're on technologically was a trajectory that another species or another form of humanity was on somewhere else, and it led to destruction? You know, and they're watching us to see if history's going to repeat itself. You know, are we on the same trajectory that other people have been on in the past? Who knows?
But I'm just saying, I mean, people have always talked about Earth like it's the Goldilocks planet. And when you look at other planets, they are awful, desolate. I mean, I've done 2 very funny, I must say, editorials about how silly it is for us, and Elon Musk in particular, to be so all head up on getting to Mars. Mars? Like, how bad would we have to rat fuck this planet where it was worse than a place that's 270 degrees below zero, has no air, has 6-month giant dust storms? You have to live underground because of the radiation. I mean, how bad would it have to get? Every planet looks like a horrible shithole. So, like, if I was an alien, I'd be like, whoa, this place has Cabo. You know, this place has beaches, and it's balmy, and it's nice. Now, maybe that doesn't affect them, but maybe it does. That, I think, could be the fact that we're so attractive, I mean, makes them want to rape us. Stumped you on that one, Doc, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think Musk knows a lot more about
Musk.
this situation. Elon, I think he knows a lot more about the situation than
Do tell.
than he has talked
Well,
about.
how does he know?
It's impossible to have
How does he
the
know?
level of clearances he has and to operate in space and not be aware of these facts. I mean,
Really?
there are numerous NASA astronauts, highly respected NASA astronauts, who have come back and talked about UAP activity they saw while in space.
Right.
There is a number of there's a lot of activity that's been documented in space. A number of the intelligence officials I interviewed talked to me about it. I had a section that was going to be about this in the film. I just cut it for time because I had to get this thing under 2 hours. But if I put everything in there I wanted, it would have been
Director's
a
cut.
4-hour movie. Well, the whole thing was a director's cut because it's an independent film. There's no studio. Yeah.
No, but I mean, director's cut meaning make a longer version, just like we're doing. This is a longer version of what we started on.
I might make a sequel. There's been seen a lot of excitement.
Maybe
for
the
a
aliens
sequel.
could partner with it. Just provide some of the
That'd be nice.
financing.
That'd be nice. You know.
They must be flush.
I've thought about it. I've thought about a sequel. We'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
let's see what happens.
Yeah, I want to see what happens inside of government.
See
I know
what
there's some
happens
things in
after
motion
the
right now.
Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
The Spielberg movie is going to be very good for you, and for this idea of getting. I mean, just a lot more people are going to be asking the question that you are prompting them to ask, that needs to be, you know, fairly settled, as we said, in the way that evolution was at some point settled. Climate change at some point was settled. Let's move on to the next realistic question,
Yeah.
which, as you say, is who are they? What do they want?
Yeah.
And, you know,
And how
how
is
do we
the US,
communicate with them?
And is the U.S. leading in this technology race? That's super important. You know,
And if they say, take us to your leader, who do we say is our real leader? Because I mean, come on, we don't want to take him there because he'll show them the ballroom. It'll be all about the ballroom. I know you came a long way, but I just want to say,
I want to see it happen. I want to see him and Rubio step to the microphone and tell us the truth. That's
Yeah.
really, truly what I want to see happen. And you know,
well, he's got the balls to do it. I'll give him that.
you know, in the movie, we put the Kennedy space race speech, a key part of it, where he says that technology has no conscience of its own. It's up to mankind whether they use it for good or for bad, and that is why, to quote Kennedy, he said, that's why it's imperative the U.S. help lead the way so they can be a part of the decision to use space technology for good. And he compares it to nuclear technology. He's like, space technology, like nuclear technology, has no conscience of its own. And this is that situation on steroids. And so I do think it calls for a leader to step up and say that.
Oh, it definitely does.
This technology could be used for good, could be used for bad. The U.S. wants to help make sure it's used for good, and we're going to put our resources and our brain power towards it. That would rally academia, the scientific community.
I'm just
it'd be
saying,
amazing.
if they do say take us to your leader, and that is Donald Trump. I mean, he is the president of America, and that is the leader of the free world. If they're going to base their ideas about how we all are I mean, he's got some points that aren't completely horrible, but I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot there that's going to make them go, "What the fuck have we gotten us into here?" I mean, I wouldn't want them to think we're that narcissistic. I wouldn't want them to think we're that corrupt. I mean, I feel like he really does want to clean up the town. He does want to be the hero sheriff who cleans up the town. And I'm not going to lie and say that there's things that don't need cleaning up. I mean, the borders were too open. Colleges are crazy out of control. I could go on. But I would hate the aliens to base their judgment on us based on how he has handled these issues. Even when he identifies, I don't want to put tariffs on spacecraft. I mean, it just wouldn't be a good look for humans. I mean, I don't know who the human is. I would like for them to see.
I would imagine that we're viewed as a whole. That's my takeaway. I think that humanity is viewed as a whole. Like, we're all in this together.
Okay.
And and the reality of it is, like, not a great look that Putin's invading sovereign nations, right? Not a good look that
Putin,
people are
another
threatening
guy
nuclear
I
war.
would not want them to base. I would rather them base this on Trump than Putin, okay? I mean, there are worse guys. I mean, yeah. But, okay, so...
But do you think, here's the other thing, like, you just got to also think about all the technological breakthroughs that could come out of this. There's a scene, part of my Rubio interview that ended up getting cut out for time, was he spent a few minutes making the point that there were like 35,000, I think it was maybe 32,000, really significant inventions that came off the back of the space race, right? It was a single mission, get to the moon, but all these other inventions came off the back of that technology race that impact our life every day. And his point was, we don't know. I remember you said that. But there's a lot of things, and stuff that has helped make progress in the medical field.
GPS, didn't we get that from this?
I think so. To be honest, I don't remember. But his point was, we don't know what's going to come off the back of taking this more seriously and putting the right brain power and resources towards this.
Point.
And it's foolish to rule out the fact that it might change our lives for the better. We don't know.
It might.
So, my hope is that that happens.
I mean, to quote every invader ever, resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. I mean, if they want to kick our ass, I'm sure they can. So, I mean, probably best to make friends with Keanu Reeves.
And just get our shit together as a species,
Yeah, that's not going to happen because we're so divided. I once did a whole thing about this, like when I was a kid, and they said, well, mankind would unite if there was an attack from Mars.
Well, that's that Reagan speech. Remember? Reagan gave that speech in the UN. He says, I often think that nothing would unite all of humanity and make us see what we have in common.
They would not. It would not happen. As soon as the aliens landed, the Republicans and the Democrats would try to get them to be on their side against the other party.
You just reminded me of another funny, actually, probably the only funny thing said in my documentary. Rubio says, this is not a partisan issue in our country. And he slides in, at least not yet. And I think he's right that eventually disclosure will happen on a bigger level, and then we'll find some sort of partisan divide.
Candace Owens, the day after they land, is not going to be saying, you know what, let's all get together, people. She's going to say some crazy shit, and there's going to be 5 million people who see it and follow that, and Tucker Carlson is going to be doing that same shit, and there's going to be people on the left, not as crazy, but crazy also, who are going to do stuff like that. I just don't see that as our saving grace. Okay, so before I forget, I want to, because the one issue I want to get to, only because I know someone who had an experience. You mentioned contact before. I know someone who actually feels like they saw something on the ground, Men in Black kind of stuff, which we haven't talked about yet.
They thought they were abducted, or they just saw something?
No, not abducted. just went out to the woodshed late at night and opened the door, and there was obviously something there that was not a bobcat.
Wow. Where?
I can't say. I can't say anything more.
Sworn to secrecy.
This person is very, it spooked him. And he's not an easily spooked person, but yes. I'm guessing he's not the only one who has such an experience.
I've heard from a lot of people ever since before the movie came out. When I put the trailer online in January of last year, people started reaching out to me. Very credible people. Some Hollywood folks, like filmmakers a filmmaker who won Best Picture, reached out to me to share the story of something he saw.
I don't know if Hollywood and credible are the two words you want to put together.
This particular
I'm
person
kidding.
was very credible.
No, there are some people.
Senators. There's a senator who's never spoken up publicly about this topic ever. He reached out to talk about something him and his son witnessed on a fishing trip. And he was like, "I'm really glad you're getting this movie out there. People need to learn there's more out there than us." And that was a wild conversation.
What happened on the fishing trip?
They were on a fishing trip out in open water, and they saw a giant craft right above their heads. That's all he told me. But super serious guy.
Well,
I never spoken to him prior. He reached out.
That you hear a lot. I'm talking about.
I mean, that's pretty extraordinary.
It's very extraordinary, but it's still a little bit removed from actually being here in some sort of form on Earth. That you hear a lot. That I really don't doubt anymore. There's just too many sightings of that, where they're observing from close quarters, but not here.
So this friend of yours saw a being.
A being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, one of the intelligence officials in the film goes, remember the guy Jay Stratton, who I talked about earlier, he goes on record in the film saying that he has seen a non-human being with his own eyes. And
well, if we have the corpses, right, is that in dispute anymore?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
We have alien corpses.
Numerous very senior intelligence officials have gone on the record saying that.
And people have said, I mean, I know people in the movie that you made say, if you saw what I saw with my own eyes, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what they're talking about. They've seen
Yeah.
an actual body.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one thing.
People have testified under oath to Congress saying this. You know, David Grush, one of the intelligence officials who testified, he talked about non-human bodies that have been recovered.
I mean, it makes a difference when, now this is not firsthand because I haven't seen it, but it makes a difference to me when somebody very close to a situation says they saw something. Like, to give an analogy, that's ridiculous, but I remember having a discussion a long time ago with some bunch of people sitting around, and somebody said Tom Cruise was gay, which was a rumor that was going around for a while because they say about everybody who's successful. And somebody who is another movie star said, I saw Tom Cruise with my own eyes fuck a girl. And this is a long time ago when they were very young. But it was like, it always
Did you
stuck.
ask him why he was looking?
It always stuck with me. You know, it's
Why
just
were
like,
you watching?
well, you know what? When you're 22 and you're on a movie set, it could happen. I'm not saying he watched him do it. I'm saying he saw with his own eyes, Tom Cruise. Okay, so like that to me always said like, okay, you know what? However many times you want to convince me that so-and-so is gay or so-and-so is gay, you know, at the end of the day, you're just fucking pulling shit out of your ass. Anyway,
Look, I really
as far
think
as this goes, like, if somebody credible says something like this, it just adds a lot of weight for me.
Yeah.
And so
to me, that's the greatest evidence because I've said this on a bunch of interviews I've done about the movie. I full-heartedly believe you could put a 4K video taken from a military base of a UFO over a nuclear weapon site, and half the human population will say it's fake, it's made by AI,
Right.
some Hollywood producer did it.
Right.
Like, that's where we're at as a society.
No,
right?
I get it.
But people putting their reputation on the line. I mean, a number of the people in my film intend to run for president one day, you know? A number of the people in my film are still actively working in the intelligence community. These are people who have a lot to lose by destroying their reputation with bullshit.
But I want to go deeper a little into this thing about the Men in Black
Okay,
aspect
yeah,
of it, because that doesn't. It seems to be the one part you don't really get into too much. Like,
I mean, we
now
talk
that's
about
that's-
we talk about the legacy program. A number of people in my film reveal that the program that has been keeping this all away from the public is referred to as the legacy program. In the film, they break down which elements of government are in it: the CIA, the Air Force, Department of Energy, and major defense contractors make up this program called the legacy program. I personally think that when people have historically referred to quote unquote Men in Black, they're referring to people who have been affiliated with the legacy program. That's what I think.
But I'm asking about the idea that there are beings, say they are able to take human form. I personally don't think they're there doing that right now. I think that's a movie.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Okay. But that would be the next step for them to do. I mean, if they wanted to really get up close and personal. I mean, certainly that's Men in Black. That's also the movie, they redid it with Nicole Kidman,
What's that, Body Snatchers?
No, it's Body Snatchers. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
The Body Snatchers. I think that's science fiction, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think so.
And it sort of hurts the cause when people go to these places.
Yeah.
Maybe where we're not yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea that they would want to have some sort of presence actually on the ground, it's not crazy to me, because wouldn't you want to? Do you think you can really get every bit of information you need from hovering in a spacecraft? I mean, at some point, don't you have to sort of like get a little more up close and personal with planet Earth and the people in it before? I mean, how did they get the people? They must have landed at some point. What do you think about what was the book Communion, which was the big
Look,
book?
I didn't get into abductions in the film because I thought, I was making this film for the masses, right? For your average person who hasn't already gone down the rabbit hole and kind of been convinced, but this is supposed to be a very digestible, accessible film, right?
Okay,
so I didn't get into that because there's a bridge.
Communion.
I think it's a bridge too far.
If people, you did the whole thing.
No, for my film, I thought it was a bridge too far. I do think there's a there.
Oh.
I have talked to a number of people who.
I mean, if people don't remember what Communion was, it's a book that Whitley Strieber, I think, was the author.
Yes.
And what it basically was, I'm really, back of the envelope here, but a lot of people had a very, very similar experience.
Yeah.
That's why he calls it communion.
Yeah.
And when you ask them, I think independently, but certainly in a group, what happened, they just had this experience. It involved someone, and they kind of describe him the same way, like 4 foot tall, the almond eyes. It's the classic.
Look, I interviewed military personnel, like real people with great resumes who had experiences on military bases and then claim that they were abducted. I interviewed them, and it's very compelling to hear them talk, and people who don't know each other having similar stories. It's extremely compelling.
But why do you think they all looked? I mean, they all say like 4 foot tall. Like,
well, they don't all say that. To be clear, there's different. There's a few different.
They all did in
descriptions.
Communion. That seemed to be.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just the species that was in vogue
book,
at the time.
Well, in that book, that's what they talk about.
But I mean, if they really are that advanced, wouldn't they be taller? I mean, they must know that everybody swipes left on any.
There's a few different types of being that are described regularly by people who say they've been abducted. If you want to go down a really interesting rabbit hole, there's a famous psychiatrist who's passed away. He died in a horrible accident. But his name was John Mack, and he was the head of child psychiatry at Harvard.
And you say it was an accident.
I do believe it was an accident. He was riding his bike and he got hit by a car. But I think he
got hit by a spaceship riding his bike.
But you should read his books. He was a very straight-laced psychiatrist. He was the most famous child psychiatrist in the world, and he started seeing some patients who would claim to be abducted. And he at first thought maybe they just were crazy people, and then he started to go down the rabbit hole a little more, and he started to believe that what these people say they experienced, they really did experience. He started to find all these commonalities, people that had no relationship to each other.
Well, that was what was compelling about that book. I'm not saying I'm 100% believing it, but I do remember it at the time, and I do remember a lot of people talking about it, and it was, to say the least, odd. Now, there are odd psychological phenomena that do happen here on Earth.
Yeah.
But it was odd that so many people would have such a similar memory of something, and it was a vague memory. They seem to have been abducted. If this is the story, they came back, and it was like, boy, my ass is sore.
Not everyone. That's okay. I've actually interviewed a lot of people who say they were abducted that did not have that experience, but it did happen to some people.
Okay. Well, let's just say the good-looking ones. They, either the aliens abducted me or there was something at John Waters' after Halloween party. No, but, it just seemed like there was...
This is why I didn't include it, because it's a slippery slope to someone not taking it serious. And, but...
I take everything serious.
I think there's a there, as bizarre as that is. And
well, I feel like it's moved in phases. I feel like there was the Roswell phase, and then there was a phase where they seemed to be, and this also is, Close Encounters, that seems to be that phase where they were interested in getting up close and personal. And they did need to find out what a human body was like. And maybe that is what the anal probes were all about.
Well, I mean, a moment in Close Encounters that most people forget about is at the very end when the craft lands and the doors open, people walk off of it.
Yes.
Pilots,
right.
Air Force pilots from the 50s or the 60s.
Right.
That haven't aged a day.
Right.
And I think he put that in the movie because he knew that the abduction situation is a real situation and wanted to at least address it a little bit, but did it in a way, genius Spielberg way, where a lot of people don't even pay attention to it. The whole build up to the craft landing was enough for them, and
Well, he put that in a movie because he works in Hollywood, and in Hollywood, if you say haven't aged a day, you got me. All right.
I think
Thank you.
It's fascinating stuff, man.
This is fascinating stuff, and I think you're doing a great job getting it out there. It's important work. I think you will be remembered for your important work.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Paying attention to it.
Oh no.
Using your platform
I'm
to
a
bring
realist.
attention to this topic.
I take shit from both sides because people, they say they want honesty, they don't.
You're from Jersey, like
I'm
me.
from Jersey, like you.
So that's how I gotta be.
Club Random.
All right, pal. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Ooh.
Good Pinot.
Next one now. Oh no, that's the light.
I love this pad you got here.
Oh, thanks.
Club Random.